seen how knowledge sharing and collaboration really do build the foundation. But now we're going to explore how that vision is translating into action at PCI SSC. Up next, we're going to hear from Deanne Zettler, our head of product and technology. In her session, she is going to take us inside PCI SSC's transformation into a dynamic, product-led organization. She will share how new product frameworks are bringing our strategic vision to life, putting stakeholders at the center, and redefining how you, our stakeholders, engage with PCI SSC. Please welcome my colleague, Deanne Zettler.
Good morning to everyone today. Again, I'm Deanne Zettler. I'm the head of product and technology here at PCI SSC. Now, at this time last year, back in 2024, I first introduced the concept of transitioning PCI into a product-centric organization. So today, a year later, I'm so excited to share our actual transition into a product framework that's designed to drive higher value to the payment community. All right, so we're going to have some fun with this. So as we begin to talk about how the PCI product framework was designed, it actually reminds me of when my kids were growing up, and namely their passion for Lego. Now, my two sons, they're grown, they're both in college, so there's less Legos to step on around the house. But I finally remembered they actually loved playing with Legos. And they were so excited when they got that new Lego set to build. However, when they opened that box and they poured all those Legos on the ground, right, it was a little overwhelming because it was hard to imagine how do all those pieces fit together to form that structure on the box. But when they took the time to construct the Legos together, using those instructions that came in the box, right, the guidance, those Legos came to life, and they turned into something of more value, such as an airplane that they can imagine that was soaring through space, or even a car, which somehow was racing with the plane in outer space. But ultimately, the pieces came together into something of higher value, right, than just those pieces that came out of the box. Now, at PCI, when you look at our publications independently, it looks like a long library of maybe some pieces that might be difficult to apply. However, when you connect those publications together, such as the standard with a program guide and a reporting template, for example, it develops more comprehensive value. So this is the foundation in terms of how we're thinking about our product structure. Now, PCI provides value to the payment industry through our mission, and that's to help secure payment data globally. So how do we do this? Well, that's primarily through our flagship product, which is our standards. So we, as a standard body, we develop and we manage payment security standards. But in addition to the standards, we also develop augmented products that actually help put those standards in use. So for example, we have our qualification programs, right, for security professionals and organizations that are aligned to our standards. We also provide listings of our products and solutions that meet the PCI standard and our program guide requirements. We also provide training and testing, right, to make sure that we're certifying our professionals. And then we provide a number of guidance documents, right, and supporting documents such as reporting templates, like to help put that standard in use. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight that we have quality programs as well, really focused on the assessors and lab management, and that's to ensure the integrity of our qualification and our listing programs as well. So what is most impactful is how all of these products work together, right, to provide value to the payment industry. And that's why we're transitioning into a product family framework. All right, so today, I want to introduce 7 product families that's providing a strategic framework for the future of our standards portfolio. So that's data and environment, mobile, device, P2PE, key management, software, and card. Now, these product families address all of the 15 standards we have today. And it also supports our forward-looking strategy as we're evolving our standards portfolio. They also provide a path in terms of how we're consolidating and realigning our standards, as we talked about in the 2024 community meeting. Now, in addition to the standards, the product families also include these augmented products that help put those products and those standards in use. So you can think of these as little like mini Lego sets, right, that click together or snap together to provide more comprehensive value. All right, so let's talk about those pieces that are comprised within our product families. Now, on the left-hand side here, you can see that our product families are comprised of our standards and our supporting programs. So let's apply the framework starting with our standards. Now, at the top of the screen, you can see all of the 15 standards that they're mapped into our product families. You can also see that our standards are also represented in different time frames. So for example, we have 2024 as our baseline, right? Moving into Horizon 2, which is at 1 to 3 years from now. And then we also have a target state area, which is basically our North Star in terms of where we're heading with our standards portfolio. Now, this structure also provides a roadmap so you can see how our standards are being consolidated and realigned, right, as we're evolving our portfolio moving forward. So for example, if you look in the mobile product family, you can see we have 3 standards. We have the MPOC, CPOC, and SPOC standards. As we look into Horizon 2, we're evaluating how do we consolidate potentially these standards, right, into a single mobile standard that aligns into our future or target area in mobile security. As a second example, if we look within key management, you can see we have our PCI PIN standard in 2024 in use today. As we look to Horizon 2, we're developing a new standard, which is our key management operations, or our KMO standard, and we're envisioning the PCI PIN standard to integrate into the KMO standard, aligned into our key management operations target area. All right, so let's now add augmented products, right, that help put that standard into use. Now, the programs are broken down into components to help support the standard evolution. So for example, we have our qualification programs, we have our listing programs from a readiness perspective, so this is both from an assessor perspective or from a lab perspective, depending on which product family. And then we also have training courses, right, that helps describe what's different, what's changing within our standards. So as part of our go-to-market strategy, we're focusing on more than the publication of that standard. Our end-to-end product delivery also includes all those program elements that are really needed to be prepared to be launched with that standard. So our goal is for all the product components to be released at the same time, or at least as close as possible. So we're going to reduce that delivery risk, and then we're also going to provide that comprehensive value to the payment industry. Now, as we take a step back, you can see that this product framework really helps demonstrate how our PCI publications, or all the pieces, are fitting together, just like the Lego set we discussed earlier. All right, so now we talked about the introduction of our product families. You have an understanding of what's in our product families. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking through a major input into our product family design, and that is our target state standards roadmap. So you can think of this as our master Lego plan. So let's take a look at our building instructions. Now, in the 2024 community meeting, Andrew Jameson presented an overview in terms of how our standards, how they work together. And he also provided a vision in terms of the target states that we're heading towards. So today, I want to share that we're staying true to that strategy. And what I'd like to do is spend a little time going through a review. So what you see on the screen here today are all of the 15 standards that we have in use today. They cover a lot of ground. However, there's some level of duplication across our standards, which causes a bit of complexity. Now, the Council has plans to consolidate and realign our standards. And again, that's to ensure consistency, reduce that duplication as much as possible across our standards, and then also to address the future needs of payment security. All right, so as we think about the future of payment security, there are these target areas. This is where we're expecting to evolve our standards into a future security framework. Now, these target areas directly align into our product families. And again, they're providing that North Star in terms of where we're heading in the future. Now, our focus has been on executing on a roadmap that really helps us move from where we are today as a baseline in 2024 into these target state areas in the future. All right, so this roadmap that we've been talking through, it includes a number of changes. That includes future revisions of standards. It introduces new standards and modules, and it also includes perhaps sunsetting some of the standards that we have today. So just by example, if we start talking about some of the new standards that are in progress, those are noted here in purple. We have a new key management operations standard, the KMO standard, that just went through the first RFC. Now, we're also evaluating the potential of a new environmental security standard, or ESS, in the future, and that aligns into our strategic planning for the future of DSS. Now, we've also added modules, right, to our existing standards. So you can see we've added third-party apps to our PTS POI standard, our version 7 that was released earlier this year. And then we're also adding an SDK to secure software, right? That's planned for release later this year. Now, in turn, some of the standards might be retired as we consolidate and realign into these future target areas. So staying true with the examples we've already talked about, the PCI PIN standard is planned to be integrated into the KMO standard, and then the 3DS SDK standard is also being planned to be integrated into secure software. So these are just examples in terms of how our standard portfolio is evolving, and our product family framework helps us get to that target state. Now, to put all of this on a timeline, you can see that we had 2 standard revisions that were already published in 2025. So that's PTS POI and our P2PE standard. Through 2026, we actually have 5 additional standards that are planned for revision, and that's in the software, device, P2PE, key management, and mobile product families. So what I want to note is that this is a plan, right? We're demonstrating a plan, and obviously a plan can change. But this is actually the first time that the Council is really being as transparent to share what's coming ahead with our standards portfolio in terms of how we're evolving, in terms of getting into these future state areas. All right, so as we plan for the future, we're working with you, the wider payment industry, to help inform our roadmap, right, and our standards through our RFC processes. So in addition to the RFC processes today, we also work with additional stakeholder groups. So this includes, for example, our board of advisors. So Gina noted a little bit earlier today that the board of advisors has the ability to vote on our standards for major revisions and for new standards. We also work with our technology guidance group. We're directly aligned into our product families, and they're doing just that. They're giving us guidance, right? They're giving us input as we're developing the next revision of our standards. We also work closely with our GEAR, which is the Global Executive Assessor Roundtable, and we get feedback from an assessor perspective, right, through change and just what are they seeing, right, through their experiences. And then we also have our regional engagement boards, right, to get that perspective from around the world in terms of the impact of change. Now, all of this is in addition to the various levels of participating organizations that already engage with the RFCs. So this year, and I think that Gina mentioned this earlier, we actually had a record-breaking year in terms of the number of stakeholder engagement points. And that's through our RFCs, that's through meetings with our engagement groups, and it's also through new collaboration tools that we deployed this year to get regular feedback and interaction. So really, you can see stakeholder centricity is an essential part of our product vision. Okay, so to bring our vision to life within PCI, we've employed new product management roles. So today, I'd like to introduce our product leaders. So that's Kandyce Young, Alix Appeleyil, who's new to the council this year, Jake Marcinko, and then also Mike Thompson, who's playing a dual role as a standards engineer. Now, this team is driving our product mindset that's focused on the value of our product families, understanding stakeholder needs, and then also driving that cross-functional delivery across the council. All right, so let's hear from the team directly. I would like to bring out Kandyce Young, who's our product leader over our data and environment product family. Can you tell us more about what's happening within the data and environment product family?
I certainly can. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about some cross-product family activities that we've been working on to support global collaboration efforts. So it's our overarching guidance material that kind of reaches across all of our product families. So our goal is to really provide a lot of singular resources that can support implementers across our PCI SSC standards and programs. And that helps implementers like yourselves put all of the different pieces together so that you can retain good value using kind of a single resource to support that kind of alignment that we've got in store for all of you. So here are 3 examples of how we are looking to do that. First, cryptography guidance. So that was recently published. And although, yes, it does apply to PCI DSS broadly, it actually can be used for implementers across PCI standards. So we're very excited to bring cryptography guidance that the industry has been eagerly awaiting. AI principles. Just last week, actually on Thursday, the Council released a blog post on how organizations can better use agentic AI in payment systems. So that applies to PCI DSS, but certainly, again, across our products. And finally, we released AI authentication guidance. So yes, that was an update to our MFA guidance, which was for PCI DSS, but we received significant stakeholder inputs, thankfully, and we were able to make that document a little bit larger and make it apply more broadly across products. So we have the authentication guidance as well as a short 2-pager summary that's actually available at the PCI booth as a printout if you'd like to see that. As for what data environment has been up to, well, first I know you're probably wondering, data environment security, what does that contain? What is all of that? Well, it's PCI DSS, so that's about protecting payment data in the environment. We've got 3DS Core, that's about authenticating the cardholder before the transaction takes place, and it also includes the token service provider standard. So that's about generating and issuing EMVCo payment tokens. They address different parts of the payments ecosystem, but their goal is the same, to protect the payments and to protect the environment, the data and the environment. And then to drive that comprehensive value that Deanne mentioned earlier to our stakeholders, I'm that resource that's able to bring all those pieces together. And so you, as the stakeholders, will have the opportunity to speak with me to help support the initiatives in these 3 areas. And now what's the big driving feature of data environment is actually the next phase of PCI DSS. And actually, after the break, I'll be talking to you a little bit more about that. So stay tuned for that one. There's a cliffhanger for you, right? And next, I'd like to welcome Alix to the stage to tell us all about mobile and device. Alix, hello. I know you are new to the council, and this is actually the first time you're on the council stage. I want to say we are so glad to have you on the product team with us.
Thank
So thank you.
Thank you.
And in case all of you didn't know this about Alix, she actually swam all the way here from Australia just last week. Oh, wait, no. You ran the Sydney Marathon, and then you flew here after.
That's right.
That's pretty impressive regardless. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kandyce. Hi, everyone. I'm Alix Appeleyil. Like Kandyce mentioned, I just got back from running the Sydney Marathon. And when I think about it, the work that we do here, it's so similar to running a marathon, right? For those of you who are runners, you know that you can't just sprint to the finish line. It's about pacing yourself step by step, milestone by milestone, while keeping the finish line in sight, right? And that's the same mindset that we brought to the mobile and device product family this year. So it's all about steady progress, step by step, milestone by milestone, driven by your feedback and with our end goal in mind, aligning with where the industry is headed. So as with a marathon too, things usually don't go as planned. For me, it started off with the day I was about to fly out of Chicago. I had my Airbnb cancel on me. I had delayed flights, missed connections. So I got there less than 24 hours before the marathon, right? So here I'm talking about getting off a flight 17 plus hours long, jet lagged, tired, and I had to go pick up my bib and then show up at the start line, right? At kind of okay at about mile 20, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. I'm texting my friends back home saying, I want to stop, I want to go home. I can't do this, right? But they were like, you can do it, slow down, you can get to the finish line. So it was all about the feedback, encouragement from my friends. And with what we're doing here too with the standards, a lot of times things don't go as planned, right? There are changes in the industry, there are unforeseen circumstances, and that's where we look to you, our stakeholders, for feedback. Where we want you to tell us, should we pick up the pace? Should we slow down? There are things that we need to look at, where we need to change our strategy. And that's where we need to look to you, and we're together getting to the finish line. So you guys are our pacers, telling us, giving us important feedback. And you play an important part in what we're doing here, in a huge role. I want to share quickly a couple of updates with the mobile and device family on the achievements we've had so far this year, which you've helped us accomplish, right? So what I'm sharing is nothing new to you. You've already seen this. You've been part of this work. So starting with mobile, we've crossed key checkpoints with MPOC 1.1 this year, including releasing the program guide and the integration report, delivering lab training, and also conducting SPOC and CPOC gap analysis. And like I said, you guys have been part of the process right from the beginning. And going ahead for what we have lined up in the near future, we're getting ready to publish the MPOC guidance document and also starting work on MPOC 2.0. And also, we are looking into integrating SPOC and CPOC into MPOC. And you guys are going to be part of that process. So we're definitely looking to you at every step of the way. You will have multiple opportunities to provide feedback. With the device product family, it's the same story. We've had steady progress as well as strong engagement. We published PTS POI version 7 standard, along with the important supporting documents like the program guide, the report template, and portal updates. And what we have lined up next is we're continuing work on HSM version 5 with the RFC scheduled Q4. And we're also developing content for PTS lab training along with test artifacts. And we are continuing working on improving the portal so that we make your participation smoother. And like I said, we are looking to you for feedback and to help us along in this journey. So in conclusion, from the updates that I provided, I think we are very well positioned for what's ahead to align with where the industry is headed, to make sure that we are growing and adapting with the innovations and changes in the industry. And like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. With that, I'd like to welcome Jake to the stage.
Unlike Alix, I have not done anything noteworthy to talk about, so I'll just jump right in and talk a little bit about the software product family. So it's been a busy year in 2025 for the software product family. We've made lots of progress since the 2 RFCs we conducted in 2024. We've now done 2 more RFCs, one for secure software and one for secure SLC. And we've also had numerous checkpoints with our technology guidance group to help us through the development process. Now, as far as software security and secure SLC, we're expecting to have final versions published for secure software in Q4 2025, and then SLC will follow in Q1 2026. Now, with the key management product family, we, as Deanne mentioned earlier in the session, we conducted our first RFC on KMO, I believe in June or May timeframe. We are still in the process of processing the feedback from that, and we are expecting to conduct another RFC for key management in Q4 of this year. And then publication for KMO is expected in the first half of 2026. And then finally, card production. There's not been much in terms of new development for card production. We've been mainly focused on ongoing maintenance, publishing tech FAQ updates, et cetera. But we are actively working with our stakeholders to determine if there's an opportunity to maybe do some development on the card production standard sometime in 2026. And with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Deanne so she can talk about point-to-point.
All right, thank you so much, Jake. All right, I'm going to fill in for Mike today, but Mike is here. He's at the conference. You can find him at the PCI booth or wandering around. So if you have any questions for him, please do seek him out. So with the update with P2PE, I want to recognize we had a great release with our version 3.2 earlier this year. As we are looking forward into the next revision of the standard, we're looking at a major revision, which is 4.0 through 2026. So the one thing I want to note about the next evolution of P2PE, there is a subcomponent, domain 5, that's going to be integrated into the KMO standard. So in the spirit of pacing, we're looking to make sure that we're developing the next iteration of P2PE in conjunction with KMO. And our primary objective is to simplify the P2PE standard and program as well. So you can expect the first RFC, first quarter of next year, second RFC, the second quarter of next year, and then target publication then would be the end of next year. All right, so in closing, I want to encourage all of you to get involved in PCI and to help shape and influence the future of our product families. So you can think of it like building with Lego. The sets are never complete without the ingenuity of many builders working together. And working together, we're not just assembling products, we're co-creating living, growing Lego systems for the future of payment security, one piece at a time.